Hello guys and welcome back to the 4Game It Is, and today we have a Transformers 4 Age of Extinction review for you guys, and I'm joined with Scott today.
Hello, I have a lot to say probably.
Yep, sorry Scott, might have been a bit quiet there because the mic was turned the other way, but yeah, we're gonna first get on with our advantages, and then our disadvantages, and then give you our overall overall score out of 10 of what we thought. So yeah, we went to see Transformers on the Tuesday, was it?
Yeah, we went in the late evening, roughly around about 5:20, and we were surprised of how many people turned up. There was about, 6 or 7 of us, including Bradley and Shabazz. They're not here today because they can't be bothered, but I can tell you now that all of them, including them two, enjoyed the film, and we enjoyed it too.
Yeah. So now we're gonna get on with our advantages, and my first one is the human aspect, not the actual thing overall, but there was one human in particular who was one of my favourites probably, and that was the guy called Joshua. I think it was his name, was it?
No idea.
I heard the woman call him Joshua a few times. He had like a bald head and glasses, and he was just, at first he was evil, like he was doing the wrong things, but for the right reasons I suppose. And then later on in the film he sort of realises what he's done and he tries to help them. So I like him because he's funny and he can portray two characters in one film, which I thought was really good. Scott, is there any humans who stood out for you?
The only human I liked was probably Mark Wahlberg playing as Cade, simply because he got to use a Cybertronian gun and he just sort of managed to kill a few, I'm just going to say the Decepticons. I don't know what faction they were part of, but yeah, he had a little bit of action, unlike the rest of the humans in the previous films who they did help, but they didn't really do as much as Mark Wahlberg seemed to do. I also liked that, Shane Dyson, I think his name is in the film. I liked it when he was driving the rally car to let them escape, and that's pretty much it for the humans.
Yeah, now we'll get on with our favourite Autobots, and then our favourite Decepticons. Something outside. My favourite Autobot is Hound. There is others I like, but my favourites had to be Hound because the others were sort of like they were just trying too hard to fit in, and Hound was just there with his guns, and he had like a half an hour battle scene trying to protect the human cast. I forgot who was actually in that room. I think it was Joshua, Cade, and that girl. All of them actually. So yeah, Hound was there shooting them up, and he was pretty much fighting to his last bullet until he had to resort to physical fist fighting. And yeah, the other Autobots didn't really get much fighting time on the screen, which was a shame, but I'm sure they were good too. So yeah, I'll hand you over to Scott, who will tell you his favourite Autobot and why.
I actually have, it's like a tie between two Autobots. Well, one of them isn't officially an Autobot, but I think you could probably already tell. One of mine is Grimlock. I know he didn't really get as much screen time as Hound and the rest of them, but I just liked his appearance, like he challenged Optimus to a fight, and the way he just started tearing up all the Decepticons and stuff as soon as he got into the city. The other Autobot, even though he didn't get a lot of screen time at all, was probably Drift, simply because he was themed as a samurai warrior, and plus he had two transformations, one of them being my favourite car, the Bugatti Veyron, and second he could turn into a helicopter, which makes him probably like the first flying vehicle Autobot of the entire film series, if you don't count that breakaway jet from the games.
Yeah, we'll move on to our favourite Decepticons now. This is kind of hard for me because I don't really remember the Decepticons that well. But if I could think, it would have to be the one who was killing them all. Was that Lockdown?
Yeah, he wasn't actually a Decepticon, but if I'm honest, he probably favoured the Decepticons more than he did the Autobots, so I suppose we could probably call him a Decepticon, but he's kind of in the middle, really.
Yeah, so as Scott said there, some background on Lockdown. Yeah, Lockdown was probably my favourite, well, I'll say enemy then, in a way, because, I don't know, he was always there, and he just came out of like a little swamp to kill Ratchet at one point and just sniped him right in the chest, and I thought that was epic. And he was probably the one that gave them more of a challenge than anyone else did. That's pretty much it for Lockdown. He didn't really have that much in the film, but he had a bit, but not a lot to speak about. So yeah, Scott's turn now.
I also happen to know that Lockdown was Shabazz and one of my other friends' favourite, let's say, Decepticon, simply because one of the reasons was because he turned into a Lamborghini Aventador, I think it was, and secondly because he had like the most action in the film, and he was really good at defending himself and stuff. But for me, my favourite Decepticon would probably be Galvatron, simply because it's a reincarnation of Megatron, and the way he managed to like avoid Bumblebee's attack by simply sort of teleporting in a way, with the like where he like turned into loads of cubes and just sort of went around him. No other Decepticon in the film seemed to manage to do that, and he just seems to be smarter than he used to be. And he's also probably the only Decepticon alive in this film, as this might be a spoiler for some of you guys, but at the very end he said that he'll meet Optimus again and just sort of walked away, so that's a confirmation of Transformers 5 right there.
Yeah, great. We'll now get on to our top 3 favourite scenes, yeah? 3 is a decent number. I'm going to start with one of mine, and then we'll go to one of Scott's, and then so on. So one of my favourite scenes was probably Ratchet's scene. Wait.
Death scene.
No, I'm thinking actually. No, it might have been, Ratchet's death scene. I was going to say the very starting scene with the dinosaurs. I just thought that was a really nice opening. But yeah, it's going to be Ratchet's death scene, because Ratchet, he was one of my favourites from the other ones, just because of his colour, basically. So I didn't really know much about the Autobots, but yeah. Ratchet was hiding in a ship, I believe, and he was being hunted down by... Do you know the name of that government?
I think that I don't really know their names, but they were working for Lockdown.
Yeah, they were working for Lockdown, and then he basically just tries his best, but he gets absolutely slaughtered. And it shows his loyalty right to the end, as he doesn't reveal Optimus's location. So yeah, I thought it was good how they at least showed what happens to Ratchet, and they didn't just leave him like disappeared. So I thought that was good what they did with Ratchet. Going on to one of Scott's favourite scenes now.
My first favourite scene would probably be where the Autobots all reunite, because we see Optimus Prime in his rusty truck form, I'm just going to call it, and he transforms into his more cool looking truck form, like without even turning into a robot, and simply because all the Autobots just sort of are happy to see him. And they're just all, I don't know, I just like the music at the time. It just sort of fit to the occasion, as if there's, as Drift said in the film, there's hope after all.
Yeah, I thought that scene was pretty cool actually, but as I said, I'm not really a fan of all the Autobots, besides Hound and Optimus and Bumblebee. My second favourite scene was, I'm just going to skip ahead, because I can't think of like one throughout the film. It's going to be Hound's sort of last stand, except he didn't die, but... Yeah, when Hound was just shooting the Decepticons, like defending the humans, as I mentioned before. I thought that was just, it's sort of the thing I like when you see someone holding off as long as they can. A bit like Boromir from Lord of the Rings, when he's just holding off all the orcs from Pippin and Merry. Yeah, I thought Hound was a great addition to the cast. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Scott?
My second favourite scene would probably be when all the Dinobots transform and they're riding into the city and trying to protect, what was his name, Joshua or something, that guy with the glasses from the Decepticons. Yeah, because he had the what they called the Seed, which was basically like a nuclear bomb for Transformers, and the Dinobots were just sort of protecting him, and like Grimlock transformed on the bridge and just sort of held them all off while they escaped.
Right. I'm just trying to think what happens throughout the film. I'm just going to I'm going to kind of cheat a bit here and say all of Joshua's scenes. Well, the bits where he was kind of good, because he was just, towards the end he was really funny. He showed his different side, and it's just good when you see a character become good, I suppose. So yeah, his humour, like, sort of brought me back into the film throughout the slow parts. And his character, he was holding the seed, as Scott said, trying to protect it from Galvatron, who was trying to get it. Yeah, Galvatron. Or Lockdown, whoever it was. Yeah, so going to Scott's final best scene here.
Probably one of my most favourite scenes would probably be towards the very end, where Optimus faces Lockdown, simply because they both put up a very good fight, and we had Bumblebee coming in to help out, and we also had Mark Wahlberg as Cade, and he fought Lockdown as well. Obviously, spoiler for everyone, Lockdown died in the end, but I just thought Lockdown and Optimus had a very good fight scene along with Bumblebee in that.
Yeah, did we talk about our advantages before, by the way?
Yeah.
No, I don't think we did.
Advantages? What do you mean?
No, disadvantages, sorry. Negatives.
Oh, yeah.
We'll quickly run through our negatives. My negatives of the film overall was probably the entire human storyline, beside Joshua. The girl, I mean, she was alright, but no, it just didn't work for me, the chemistry. Mark Wahlberg was good for a human, I suppose, but I think some of the human cast were quite pointless and were just there to fill up the storyline. There was also some bits where the humans could have easily died numerous times, but they just somehow escaped. There was a bit where the female, I can't remember her name.
Tessa.
Yeah, Tessa was running from these, do you know what they're called, the mini dog things?
No, all I know is they're called Lockdown's pets.
Yeah, the Lockdown's pets were chasing her, and then she turned a corner really fast and they all fell on top of each other, like the cliche you see in some films, and she snuck through a little 2 bars and escaped. And another scene I forgot to mention I liked was when they were all on these big ropes, trying to get on one side, trying to get on the ship to a building, and then the dogs started coming on the ropes and wobbling it and everything. I thought that was good. Other negatives was some bits were unrealistic, like some of the explosions, I suppose, and there was a bit where the car jumped, that rally car fell off the car park roof and landed on the ramp. I thought that was a bit stupid, but yeah, the rest of it was great, a good film.
For me, well, you know me, I'm a Transformers fan, so I loved the film entirely, but if I had to sort of pick something, then I'd probably have to agree with Shane. When he says that girl, Tessa, was annoying, I kind of agree with that. I didn't really like her in the film. Kind of found her being there kind of pointless. The only useful thing she did, really, was at the end where she saved Optimus, or putting that hook on his sword and pulling it out. If I had to pick something for myself, though, it would probably be the opening where all the dinosaurs are sort of turned into, I don't know, robots or something, just turned into metal. Didn't really understand what was going on there, but as the story progressed it came clear that that's how the Dinobots originated, but it's just I didn't understand where all those UFOs, if you want to call them, came from at the very start and why they were there.
Yeah, guys, I forgot to mention one negative, and that was the other Autobots. Do you know their names? The other two?
Drift and Crosshairs.
Yeah, Drift and Crosshairs. They didn't really stand out much to me, and bringing in an entire new cast of humans as well as robots didn't really work for me. But Hound, as I said, I think Hound was pretty good. I like the voice. The voices of the other two, I didn't really like that much. But yeah, I suppose you just got to deal with it, really. It's a film, and yeah. Right, we're going to get on now with our overall score out of 10. Due to my positives and my negatives as well, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, only because of the human storyline and the bits I said, the unrealism of it sometimes made me question why that was there. So yeah, 8 out of 10 is my rating of Transformers Age of Extinction.
You could probably see this coming, but yeah, even though I had very tiny negatives, I just give it a complete 10 out of 10, just like I give the previous 3 films. I don't know, I could probably understand why there's some people out there who just don't like the Transformers film franchise, but for me, they're just the best films out there for me, just like Shane with his Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Yeah, some of the reviews I've seen online were really harsh towards Transformers. Actually, I don't really see why they got such low reviews. But yeah, 8 out of 10 I give it. I think that's a reasonable score, considering it's still a good film, despite it just because it's the 4th film in the franchise. People are hating on it. So yeah, me and Scott are going to roll out now. Scott's got one more thing to say.
Yeah, just a final thing before we so-called roll out is I'd like to mention that my Transformers Rise of the Darkspark playthrough will be coming soon on the campaign and stuff. It's just I don't really have the money to buy it at the moment. As soon as I get the right money, I'll be buying the game instantly, and I'll get that to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, so that's it for today, guys. we'll see you next time on the 4 Game It Is. Roll out.